Good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Right, hope you had a lovely weekend with that beautiful weather. Shouldn't moan, but haven't slept properly for days. So, it's Monday morning, just on my way in, and we've got a special guest today at work. George from his YouTube channel, George Austers. You may well have watched his stuff. He's an automotive YouTuber. George is bringing down a block for me to bore today. I'm going to bore that while he sort of waits, and he wants to do a bit of a collab, I suppose. Wants to do a little bit of a video about our workplace. I've watched a lot of George's stuff lately, and he's got the same sort of video ethics as myself, really. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Hope you enjoyed George being down. But first of all, on Friday, we left a little bit earlier. I planned on leaving about lunchtime Friday, actually, because of the weather, because it was so hot. I know some of you viewers there in Australia will be saying, what the hell are you on about? But yeah, for us Brits, it was fairly warm at work. I didn't manage to leave till about 4:30, but before I did, I managed to get the pistons on the rods for the V8 MGB. Now, I give Isaac a little bit of a lesson on doing that, and they are not the circlip type, they are the non-circlip type. So what you've got to do is heat the end of the small end and get all the piston and pins set up right, and then sort of put them on before it cools down and shrinks, and get them in the right position. So as soon as I get into work, I will show you what I mean and what we've done. And so this morning, just before George arrives, I think he said he's going to come about 11, we are going to get the rings on the pistons and hopefully get the pistons down the holes, because I've got the crank in the block. So yeah, the next couple of days should crack right on with that V8. Now, as I said to you last week, I think Paul's in on Wednesday this week. He can crack on and finish the 1500 pre-crossflow, and one of us will get on with the Jag, and that's a few of them are sort of on their way to being out the way. So yeah, let's get into work, guys, and we'll get the rings on those pistons. Right guys, just quickly, with reference to the previous video, the one that I left you guys in control of putting down in the comments what you think we should do with the customer with the Mark II Golf engine. I did read all through the messages, and not surprised, but you guys said, look, in fairness, this is what the majority of them look like. Look, in fairness, the guy did get back to you fairly smartish. You sent him away. The fact that he didn't come back quick enough, really, it's one of those, isn't it? Do you want to just fob him off and give him the old 2 years, it's 2 years out of warranty, or do you want to help the guy out? You know, he just seems like a guy that don't know where else to turn. You know, we have done the engine, whether that's how we do the engine anymore. So we're going to take your advice on that, guys. I'm going to give him a ring. I'm going to say, look, drop it into us. Let's have a look at this thing and see if we can get your problem sorted out. So thanks ever so much, guys. As I say, always take on board what you think, and yeah, let's get him sorted. Right, sorry it's so noisy in here, guys. We've got plenty of machines on the go at the moment. John over there grinding a crank whilst also skimming ahead. So that man is multitasking. But as promised, here we got the rods and the pistons for the V8. So you can see by the ends there's no circlips in these. What we do is we heat the ends up. As you can see, they've gone sort of discoloured. Probably from the factory, they would maybe heat these or freeze the pins and sort of put it together in a jig. But what we have to do is heat the ends and then quickly put it together before they shrink on the pin. And that's why they're very slightly different coloured on the ends. We've got those on now. So what we're going to do is we're going to fit the rings onto these pistons. And if we come over here, here's one I prepared earlier, as they say. So we've got the ring layouts here. Now on this particular piston, you can see there how we put them on. So we've got the bottom ring set here. So this one goes on first. I always put it on with the the joining ends facing downwards, and you've got to make sure that they don't overlap. So you put those on first, then you put one of these either side, and that holds that ring in there. Then on this ring, a lot of time you've got an oil scraper ring, and then you've got a compression ring, but both of these are the same. They're both cast iron. They've got no writing on either side, which means there's not really any up way. If you look down the cross section, there's no sort of edge that's different to another. So these can go either way up and on either one. So as you can see there, we fitted them. All we're going to do is we're just going to put the gaps opposing each other. So that's what we've done there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, we know the front because it's got front on the top of the piston there. So the front goes to the front. We've got them all marked. So that is number one. Number one is marked to the front. So this will go in number one hole. So as we're looking at the V8 block here, we've oiled up all the bores. And you can see 1 and 2 there, slightly offset. You've got one that's very slightly in front of 2. Okay, so this being the front of the crank, we're going to call that one number 1. All right, so this piston will go in there. So I'll go and get the ring clamp and we'll put it in. There we go, guys. All the rings are on the pistons now, as you can see. And these pistons are going to be going in these holes. What we do is we always check that they go down the bore first, because even though you've made all your measurements and set your gauge up and measured them properly, always actually physically just try and make sure that they go in there, because we've had that before, to make sure that there's no stray burrs at the top or anything like that. So we're ready to fit those now. So as you can see, guys, I've got that piston in now, and that is sitting absolutely perfect. We're going to turn it over. With the V8s, I like to just do it one by one. So I'll get a piston in, turn it over, get the cap on, and sort of loosely really, just so I don't get mixed up, because it's quite easy to get mixed up when we're doing these V8s, because obviously you're doing one side and one the other, and you can forget where you are with the caps. So we'll turn this over and get that cap on. You see George in the background, guys. He's arrived. He's just doing a little intro video. So in a minute we're going to unload his block to be bored. He said that it's a 4-cylinder 1600 mini block, so they're renowned for sort of needing rebores. So we're going to get that in there, get it set up on the boring bar, and see what it's like. Right, guys, so this is George's Mini. It's a 1600 Mini, the turbocharged one. When he bought it in, it's coming for a rebore, so we've got a new set of pistons to go in there. I measured the bores and we're up around 3 thou wear at the top of this, so wasn't going to be any good. But there was no real lip at the top. The bores have just gone sort of oval. So we've rebored it to 77.5, which is half a mil over. We've just honed it now, and we let it cool over break and then come back to it, and that is done for him. So here we go, guys. We've got George here from his channel, George Austers.
How's it going, guys?
Thanks a lot for coming, George. Really pleased to meet you.
No, thanks for doing the work.
So what we've got today is George's 1600 Mini block. I think it's going to be in one of his videos, but George is planning on doing a build on this engine. Is it? Am I right in thinking it's your first build?
Yeah, it's my first ever engine build. I've never done anything as in depth as this, so yeah, I thought I would go through the whole process and document the whole thing on my channel. These N14 mini engines, they are a bit notorious for a whole host of problems, so yeah, it's only right that I do document everything and sort of go through all the common problems and everything as well. So yeah, engine block is now ready to go home and start assembly. So
it's all a bit of a learning curve for you then, even the reboring process.
Definitely, yeah. It's been a brilliant experience coming down here and see actually how it's all done and the actual work that goes into it as well. It's very, very interesting. Yeah, it's not a fast process, just even reboring. But if you've learned something from it, mate, I'm really glad about that. So yeah, this is all done now, guys. As I say, I've sort of give George a bit of a lesson on the clearances and that you have to run on this, and say the processes. So hopefully all good, and we look forward to seeing that on his channel. Yeah, if you haven't already, guys, go to George's channel, watch his videos and subscribe there. But it's really good to have you here, George. Yeah, I appreciate it.
More than welcome anytime. Anything you want to know, just give us a shout.
Thank you.
And hopefully see you again in the future.
I'm sure we will. Cheers.
So there we go guys, all the pistons and rods are in. As you can see, they all sit side by side. What we do is we always double check to make sure, obviously can't emphasize it enough, just double check and take your time, do them one by one, because it's so easy to get mixed up with these. Because you've got 2 rods sitting on one journal, it's easy to get a cap the wrong way round or anything like that. By the time you turn the block over and you've turned caps upside down and all this, it's easy to get confused. So always double check. But as you can see, they're all in now, torqued all up. And if we just turn this block over, you see all those pistons are in there, looking very nice. And that is all ready to assemble the rest of it, really. Now, if you have a look behind me, guys, you can see the grey Golf. So we got that back. So Clover Cars dropped this off earlier. They've took the old filter housing off, and it turns out that valve was missing. So Tim's ordered a new one, 16 quid, that's all they were. Put it in there, we've got no problems now. So this thing is all ready to go. I think they'll give the customer the good news, and he's gonna come pick it up Friday. But the only thing is, when we picked it up from Volkswagen, they said, do a double check on the high pressure fuel pump that goes on the back of the cylinder head, because they've had it once before where one of those are failing and it leaks, it pumps diesel into the head, down into the oil, and dilutes the oil. And it was just that this thing hadn't done many miles at all, and the oil smelt a little bit fuely, so that could have been the problem originally, we don't know. So we've replaced the high pressure fuel pump, about 240 quid plus the VAT, and fingers crossed guys, this thing goes away and we never hear from it again. So that's it for today guys, thanks ever so much. As I say, we just want to thank George heaps for coming down all the way down here to the southwest to visit us. Keep your eye out for his channel, have a look in the description below for a link to his channel, get on there, subscribe, really interesting, especially if you like BMWs, because he is a BMW man. So yeah, get on there, check him out. But if you haven't already guys, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we will see you in another video. Cheers.